Okay, we got us one right here we're kind of excited about. A little 69 fastback. Check it out right there. Guy bought it. Someone was started putting the front end under it. They got everything kinda, I was gonna say kinda tacked in. Anyway, that's as far as they got. And they want us to finish welding it in. Get the steering and the brakes hooked back up on it. Put some power brakes, brake lines, the steering column, the arm goes down to the rack and pinion. And then they got some other parts in here. Got rear disc brake conversion. So we'll have to get the brake pedal back up under there. Get, like I said, a power booster, a master cylinder, brake lines, steering shaft. Get that put in place. When we get it put in place, we're going to check everything. Got a fender in there, set it up there, make sure everything looks good, and then we're going to weld it in. Then before we put that brake master cylinder and booster on, we're going to clean that firewall up. Go ahead and clean it up, paint it. That way all that'll be painted and took care of. We won't have to worry about it. And anyway, like I said, basically we're going to get it back where it's steering and brakes. So come along. Maybe the heater ain't making too much noise because it is cold in here this morning. So we're trying to get it warmed up a little bit. But we're in here on the Mustang 69. The crossmember front end that somebody had put in, they've actually set it too far back. I think I explained in the previous part of the video there. But just showing you how we're starting to get it tore down. Luckily they just had that tacked on, and this was tacked on, and it's done broke loose, so we won't have to worry about cutting that loose. That side seems to be tacked a little better. It's actually got spring and stuff. We're trying to pull it apart now. As soon as we get it apart, we'll get that spindle and stuff, get it out of the way. We'll go ahead and cut the spring perch on the top off, get it out of the way, and then we'll start seeing what we need to do. I'm pretty sure we need to move this at least about an inch forward. I hadn't done the for sure measurements, but just kind of a rough guess, that's what we're looking at. We done our measure from the back. I want to say like our wheelbase is about an inch short. So we're going to have to cut that out and move it forward. And like I said, we got the heater rolling this morning because it is cold. So hopefully it'll stay working. It likes to work when it wants to, and not most of the time, at least till the sun comes up. But let's see if we can get this side tore apart and see where we're at. So we finally got our spring out, so we can put the suspension back together and get that thing set. Roughly will be ride height. We want to do something about ride height because, you know, I ain't going to say it's going to make a big difference up or low, but you got it where you want it, you should be able to measure your wheelbase a lot. I've looked online, and these say anywhere from 108 to 109, depending on the trim package and stuff. I don't really make no sense to me. I thought they'd all be the same. But we measured Alan's 70 model out there at the shop, and it measured about 109. So if we get this wheelbase right here to 109, I believe we'll be doing good. Gonna get Jameson. He's coming out here to help me get it measured and see what it is now before we cut it to see exactly how much forward we got to move it. Plus, I've also got the specs from the kit off of Speedway to know how far I need to measure from the back to where the center of the spring pocket needs to be. So we'll get that measured and then start doing some cutting. Okay, so the best I can tell, we're at roughly, make sure I got this. We're at 106 and a half, and we're supposed to be about 108 to 109. Like I said, I want to do some double checking on that because, like I said, I've read 108 and 109. We measured Allen's, it was 109, so that would put us, what, 2.5 inches off? But if we're supposed to be 108, we're 1.5 inches off. 2 is a big deal. So I'm gonna do some more reading, make sure we ain't supposed to be 108. Because just here looking, 108 looks closer. So And 106 and a half, I just can't believe they put it 2.5 inches back. Like I said, the 109, it just looks too far forward. But we know we got to cut it out and move it up at least 1.5 inches. So we're gonna go ahead and get this side tore back down, and then we'll start cutting and grinding cutting the plates off and getting ready to move everything and get it set in place. And then once we get it where we think it needs to be, we'll tack everything. We'll put a front wheel on it. We'll stick the front fender on it. Make sure we're sitting in the fender well like we think we need to be. But if you can just look right there, you can tell it's too far back, sitting in that strut tower right there. So it definitely needs to come back that 1.5 inches, if not 2 inches. So here comes the fun part. Okay, here we got it cut out. Got all them little few tacks. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. I think these plates right here are good or in the right place, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean around them and re-weld them. Not that I don't trust their welding, I just don't trust their welding, bottom line. Especially, I know it was just tacked in, but there wasn't much of a tack holding that in. But anyway, we're gonna get all this cleaned up now, and then we'll have to, here's the C, I guess you call it, that I was talking about. We're gonna have to cut this out and move it about 1 inch forward or so, because that's where your spring sits. So then when we do that, we'll fill everything in with some good metal and fit everything. Everything looks good, then we'll weld her down. But let's get this cleaned up and get ready. All right, so we went online, we found some paperwork on this front end kit. Come from Speedway, where we found out it come from. 64 through 70 Mustang 2 crossmember kit. And if you see right there from the front of the, what do you call that? Core support, front rail, radiator support, I don't know, different things. But anyway, from the front of it to the center of the, what do you call that? The dip, the C channel, you're supposed to be right at 24 1/4. So I've marked that where we're at now. And I'm gonna measure, I put me a straight edge on there, so I'd be exactly at the front of the radiator support. So take a tape measure and stick out there against it, right up to it. And man, we're like, what is that, 26 1/4? No. Oh. We're like, okay, we're on the, why is that showing crazy? It's like flipped around. Like on here, it's showing 26 1/4, but when I'm looking at it, it's 25 3/4. Does the reverse angle of the phone do that? Anyway, we can see we're off. Like I said, we're supposed to be at 24 1/4. So we're a little ways off here. So let me get me something else to mark it with, and we'll start from there. Okay, so basically we're at 26 1/4 instead of 24 1/4. So we're 2 inches back. Why they put this thing 2 inches back, I have no idea. That was gonna set them. Let me just give you image, our view over here. So Fairlane, it'll be close to it, because a lot of that is the same. But you can figure right here is the center. Let me straighten the wheels up. So right here is the center, like it's supposed to be. If you put that thing 2 inches back, you're just about gonna have your tire into the fender. And then look at the gap you're gonna have up there. So why they would put that 2 inches back, I have no idea. But anyway, we're gonna get it remarked, and then we'll show you by the marks how far we're off. Okay, so right here you can see the difference. This is where it was, and this is where it needs to be. I've got the center cross member marked and put into place. I've just got this and kind of clamped up here. We got this side cut out, and you can see how far I had to kind of move it there. Right now we're just gonna put everything in its place and then check the fitment. So this side over here, that side over there wasn't bad to cut out because it was just kind of tacked in. This side over here, I'm not gonna go as far to say it's welded good, but it was welded. It was welded in a lot more places. I think that one over there was just kind of welded up here, tacked down here, and tacked. They put a bead right here, but it didn't even get to the car, the metal on the car. So it just kind of like come loose. And then I got it, you can see it, daubed up where I'm not knocking work, I'm just saying. I am knocking the, why you would put it back 2 inches, I do not know. Maybe they was making an alter wheelbase car or something, I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna finish cutting this side out and we'll get it moved up in place. And then when I get it moved up, I'll clamp it in place. And then we're gonna put our lower control arms, our upper, and put our spindles on. Then we'll check our wheelbase and everything, put a tire on it, set the fender. So we got a door on this side, so we'll set the fender up on this side and we'll look at it and see how everything looks center to center. Okay, so we got both sides moved. We hadn't welded nothing in. Like I said, we're just test fitting everything. You can see we got the lower upper control arm. Got the spring perch just clamped on there to hold everything in place. Set a wheel and tire off there. That's one we had on the old Fairlane over there. Got it on there. You can see how it looks a lot better sitting in there than it did before. Before, this wheel right here would have been almost up against the fender. So we're gonna take it back off, double check everything, get everything cleaned up, get our inside the frame rail coated and all that stuff. Then we'll put our brackets back up there and weld everything in place. And then we'll be ready to assemble the front end for the final time, hopefully. But like I said, there's the fender up on it. That fender probably needs a little adjustment. It's close there, but like I said, we got everything. Now it's kind of centered up where it should be. So, come a long way today. Tomorrow we'll get in here, and like I said, we'll clean everything up, coat everything, start welding. So we got everything fitting like we want. We're gonna take it all back apart now. We're gonna clean all this up, clean everything up real good, and I'll go ahead and take this clamp off, show you what I'm talking about. Clean up inside there real good. Clean all this metal up. I got some of that rust primer stuff that you can spray up in there and it kind of like neutralize. It's not really rusty up in there, but you know, it's boxed up frame, been for years. That'll just help keep it protected for later on. Then we'll start putting our panels back up there and we'll weld all them in. I've actually got a piece of little angle, the same thickness, that I'm gonna put inside here and run it up through there a little bit, and I'm gonna weld it as far as I can. Not that I think it needs some more support, just something to kind of help it, since I had to move the C-notch up a little bit. And when I fill these in, I'm just gonna butt it to this. So that way we'll have an extra piece just kind of running past this, and where this hole is right here, I'll plug weld it into it, and just a little more extra securement, you know what I mean? So we're gonna get all this cleaned up and start getting it ready to start welding in. Okay, it's kind of dark up there and you really can't see. But right here was the angle I had. I cut a piece off of it and cleaned it up. And I welded in at the top. And like I said, I plug welded in that hole right there. That way I could get a little more weld up in that way. But it goes from about right here to about right in here. Welded down the top and welded down the bottom. And then I sprayed that rust primer up in there to kind of help protect everything. So I'm gonna give that time to dry, and I'm gonna start putting my outside plate on. Okay, so we got this side welded in. I went ahead and sprayed a little primer on it so it wouldn't start surface rusting like it all was before. Cleaned it up with the disc, sanding disc there. Got a little primer sprayed on it. Right there it looks a little rough where we had to put in that little piece and weld it in. But we'll get all that cleaned up once we get that side over there done, and we're ready to put in the center crossmember. All right, we got the driver's side welded in now. Now we're ready to put the crossmember up in there and get it set in place and weld it. So I'm gonna let this dry where I sprayed some primer on it overnight, and we'll get in here, set the crossmember in place, and start checking the measurements on it, and then get it welded in. Then we'll be ready to finish up the front suspension and get onto the brakes, the brake booster, firewall and all that, and the rear brakes. Okay, we're down to the final fitment of the center crossmember. You can see I got me a square on each side so I can double check my measurements. We're exactly the 24¼ to the center what it shows. I got it in place, so we're fixing to go ahead and tack it. Tack it good in all 4 or 5 corners there or so. Get the jack out of the way, and then we're gonna weld that baby. So you can see I got it dead center. And I believe I found out what the last person did. Is like I said, you're supposed to be 24¼ So it's supposed to be 24¼ from the outside edge to the center of the C channel. What do you call that? C notch? Anyway, C notch like on the back of one beside it anyway. But I measured from the inside right there just to check. And if you go 24¼ from the inside, you're about dead center where they was. So I think that's what they done. I think they measured 24¼ from the inside here instead of the outside. So that put them back 2 inches too far, and which had the wheel sitting way back here. And if you saw earlier in the mock-up, you can see the wheel sitting about where it needs to be. So we're fixing to get ready to tack this thing in and start welding. All right, so we got the cross member welded in, and we got the spring purchased where they're fitted. I got a little carried away welding, and then I had to do a bunch of grinding to get the spring purchased where they'd fit. But anyway, I've run out of heat in the heater, and it's starting to get cold in here. Of course, welding would warm me up, but I don't want to be here out all night watching it cool, freezing. So everything's cooled down. Like I said, I got the spring purchased where they're fitting. I'll come in first thing in the morning, I'll get them welded, and then we'll be ready to start cleaning all this up under here and start mounting the suspension, the steering, the brakes, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so here it is. We got it all welded in. Got the spring purchase welded in. You can see right here, both sides welded. That one's gonna need some cleaning up, but we got it all moved in the position where it's supposed to be. So that part's done. Now it's time for all the cleaning up and the grinding and the making everything look pretty. So in the next video, what we'll do is we'll get in here and we'll clean all this firewall up, all this stuff, all the suspension parts or the cross member spring purchase. We'll get all that cleaned up and painted, and then we'll start hanging our upper and lower control arms, our brake booster, rack and pinion, putting our steering arm in, that kind of stuff. Check it out. That is a Mustang 2 front end relocated in a '69 fastback. A lot of work to go.